In this video, we're going to take a look at expanding and factorising. So what we're going to do in this video is just take a look at some exam style questions for expanding and factorising. So let's get started here with question 1. So we begin with part A here. We're asked to expand 6 lots of x plus 3. Now remember, when we're expanding, that just means we want to get rid of the brackets here, and the way we do that is using multiplication. So if I just write down the expression here, I've got 6 lots of x plus 3. So we take the term on the outside here, which is the 6 in this case, and I now times it by each term inside the bracket. So I take the 6 here, times it by the x here. So 6 times x, that would give me 6x. And then we take the 6 here and times it by the 3. So 6 times 3, that would give me 18 there. So we get 6x plus 18. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the solution to A. Moving on to B now. We're asked to factorise 2a plus a squared. So 2a plus a squared here. Now remember, when we're factorising here, this is the opposite to expanding. This means now that we want to put this into brackets here. The way we do this is we find the highest common factor of 2a and a squared, which in this case would simply be a. We put the a here in front of the bracket. So now I've got to think about, what do I times a by here? So what do I times a by to get 2a? Well, that must simply be 2. So a times 2 would give me 2a. Put a 2 there at the front of the bracket. Now again, we just repeat this here. What do I times a by to get positive a squared here? So in this case then, that must simply be a, because a times a would give me a squared there. Okay. When we factorise 2a plus a squared, we get a lots of 2 plus a there. Okay. So that's the solution to B. And then finally here for C, we're asked to expand and simplify. I've got 4 lots of 2y plus 1 plus 2 lots of 4y minus 1. So to expand and simplify, what we do here is begin with the first bracket here. So expand this first single bracket. Then we expand the single second bracket here. And then we're just going to collect like terms and simplify the expression. So 4 times 2y. So 4 times 2y, that would give me 8y there. We get 8y to begin with. And we take the 4 again here and times it by the other term inside the bracket. So that's this 1 here. So 4 times 1 would give me plus 4 there. So that's the first bracket complete. We now repeat this here with the second bracket. So take the term on the outside, which is this 2 here, and times it by each term inside the bracket. So 2 times 4y, that would give us 8y again. And then 2 here, times minus 1, and that would give me minus 2 there. Okay, so we get minus 2 there. So now what I've got here is everything expanded. So what I need to do now is just simplify. And the way we do that is by collecting like terms. I've got 8y plus 8y. So that would give me 16y. And I've got positive 4 minus 2. So 4 minus 2. And that would give me 2 there. And there we have it. So that's the solution to C. And that gives us the solution to question 1. Moving on to question 2 now, where we're asked to expand the following single brackets. So if we start with part A here, I've got 4 bracket 2 minus x here. But remember, when we're expanding single brackets like this, it just means we want to get rid of the brackets. So to begin with here, what I do is I take my term on the outside and multiply that with each term inside the bracket. So to begin with, we've got 4 times 2 here. So 4 times 2, that would give me 8. And then we take the 4 here again. We now times it by this minus x here. So don't forget, we do include the minus here. So 4 times minus x, and that would give me minus 4x there. Okay. And there we have it. So that would be our solution to A, just expanding this single bracket here. Moving on to B now. I've got 3k bracket k minus 3. So again, if we're just expanding here, we just want to get rid of this bracket. And remember, we just do that by multiplication. So we take the term on the outside here, this 3k. We times by each term inside the bracket. So we start with 3k times k, just using the rule of indices here. This will give me 3k squared. We get 3k squared, and then taking the 3k here and times it by minus 3, we get minus 9k there. Okay, so that's the solution to B. And then finally, if we move on to C here, I've got y, bracket y squared plus 7. So again, we're just expanding this single bracket here. So we take the term on the outside, and we times it by each term inside the bracket. So y times y squared. So again, just using the rule of indices here, but just take a bit of care with this. So y times y squared, that's y to the 1. In that case, then we just simply add the powers here, so it'll give me y cubed. We get y cubed, and we take the y here on the outside, and times it by the positive 7 to get plus 7y there. Okay, and there we have it. So that's the solution to C and the solution to question 2. Moving on to question 3 now, we're asked to fully factorise the following expressions. So for part A then, we've got 30m plus 12mn. Now, when we're factorising like this, remember that just means we now want to put this into brackets here. So the very first thing that I'm going to do, find the highest common factor for our two terms here. So my highest common factor here would be 6m. We get a 6m here in front of the bracket. So now what I need to think about here is what do I times 6m by to get 30m? Well, that must simply be 5. We put the 5 here at the front of the bracket. And again, what do I times 6m by to get 12mn? Well, that must simply be 2n there. Okay. We get plus 2n there. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the solution to A. So moving on to B now. I've got 15ab. So 15ab plus 21a squared b squared. Plus 21a squared b squared. So again, to begin with here, I just need to find the highest common factor for our two terms here. So in this case, my highest common factor here would be a 3, as well as an a and a b here. Okay, so we get 3ab as my highest common factor. So now we're going to put a single bracket in here. And again, I just need to think about now what do I times 3a, so let's try that again. 3ab by, so a bit of a tongue twister, to get 15ab. So in that case then, that would simply be 5. And then again, just repeating that here, what do I times 3ab by to get 21a squared b squared? So in that case then, that would be 7ab. The other way that you can think about this if you're struggling to kind of figure out how to go about this is you can almost divide it. So 15ab divided by 3ab, that would leave you with 5. And then 21a squared b squared divided by 3ab, that will give you 7ab. Okay, so if you find that easier, you can do that as well. I think it's easy enough to just think about it as multiplication. So what do I times 3ab by to get 15ab? Well, that must be 5. And again, 3ab times 7ab would give me 21a squared b squared there. Okay, but there we have it. So that's the solution to B. And that gives the solution to question 3. And finally, to finish with here, we take a look now at the very last question. We've got 3 parts, so we begin with part A. We're asked to expand 4x bracket 5y plus 2x squared. So if I just write that down here. So 5y plus 2x squared. And remember, when we're expanding here, that means when I want to get rid of these brackets, this single bracket here, and the way we do that is by using multiplication. So I take my term here on the outside, this 4x, and I times it by each term inside the bracket. So 4x times 5y. So 4x times 5y, well, that would give me 20. And then x times y, so that would be xy. We get 20xy there. Then we take our 4x again, and we times it by 2x squared. So 4x times 2x squared. So just be careful here with the rule of indices. So in this case then, 4 times 2 is 8. Now I've got x to the 1 here. We don't write the power, but that's to the power of 1 here. So x to the 1 times x squared. That would give me x cubed. So we get 8x cubed. And there we have it. So that's the solution to A. Moving on to B now. we're asked to factorise fully 6y plus 32y cubed. I'll just write that down here. 6y plus 32y cubed. So if we're factorising fully here, remember when we're factorising, that just means that we now want to put this into brackets here. It's the opposite of expanding. So I need to now find the highest common factor for my two terms here. So in this case, my highest common factor would be 2y. We put a 2y here in front of our single bracket. And what I need to do now is think about what do I times 2y by to get 6y? Well, in that case then that would be 3. So 2y times 3 would give me 6y. Or alternatively, I mean, you could think about this as division. So 6y divided by 2y, that would give you 3. And then again, what do I times 2y by here to get 32y cubed? Well, that must be 16y squared there. 16y squared. Well, again, you could think about that as division. So 32y cubed divided by 2y, that would give you 16y squared there. Okay, so that's the solution to B. And then finally, if we move on to C now, we're asked to expand and simplify 5 lots of 3 plus x minus 2 lots of 5 minus x. So I'll just write this down to begin with. So 5 lots of 3 plus x minus 2 lots of 5 minus x. So remember, when we're expanding and simplifying something like this here, begin with the first bracket here, so expand this first bracket, then we expand the single second bracket here, and then we collect like terms. So 5 times 3 here, that will give me 15. And we do 5 times x here, so 5 times x would give me 5x. We've then got minus 2 times 5, that will give me minus 10. And then we've got minus 2 here times minus x, and be careful with the signs here. So minus 2 times minus x, that would give me positive 2x there. We get plus 2x. So now all I need to do here is collect like terms. So 15 minus 10, that would give me 5. And then I've got 5x plus 2x, that would give me 7x. But what I get here then, if I just write it the other way around, looks a little bit more natural to us. I get 7x plus 5 there. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the solution to C. And that gives the solution to the very last question there. That actually brings the end of this video on exam revision for expanding and factorising. In the next video, we're going to take a look at an introduction to Pythagoras.